Molten metal is dangerous. Really dangerous. Which is why I'm making it in my backyard. This is my metal foundry that burns up to 2,000 Fahrenheit, which means that this thing can actually melt metals like copper, aluminum, or gold. Weird. Anyways, this great story, or tutorial, I don't know, starts like any other, with beer. After a night of heavy drinking, I was left with the perfect container for a forge. I started by emptying the trapped gas from the canister. Oh shit. Over top of a sink. Then I took off the spout and had a small battle with the plastic. Okay, it was a pretty big battle. Now, I had no easy way of accessing the inside, so I measured 2 inches from the top and began cutting it open on my front lawn with an edge grinder, which definitely got some weird looks. But I didn't care, baby, because after some minor cutting, it split right open. So I washed it, grinded the sharp edges down, and unboxed my forge insulation. So when you're building a metal foundry, you've kind of got a few options. Now first you can use something kind of heavy like a 50-50 mixture of plaster of Paris with cement. And then the next option is using something light like Cowwool. With something like Cowwool, it is important to take safety precautions. So that's why I've brought myself a mask, because Cowwool is very easily airborne.
Do I look pretty?
The Cowwool is being used as a liner, so I measured the keg circumference, which was 22 inches. And with my mask on, I finished unboxing the Cowwool and cut out the side as well as the top and the bottom of the keg. And luckily Cowwool is super compressible, so I was able to just jam it inside and it created a really nice press fit. Oh my god.
It's really hot under there.
Now, as I was saying, the trade-off for this complete safety hazard is that Cowwool is extremely temperature resistant. Up to 2,700 Fahrenheit, according to this safety sheet that I tried to throw away. So it should be more than enough to insulate my forge. I started drilling the side hole out using a 1-inch spade bit, and once it was cut, I removed the excess Cowwool. And I don't know why, but it got kind of freaky here. In an effort to look as cool as possible, I shut off the lights for this part. For the record, I was just cutting a metal tube with an angle grinder, but it actually looked really cool, so I have no regrets. This metal tube is being used as a guide for the propane tank, so once it was fully cut, I grinded the edges down and forced it through the hole. And if you are using this like a tutorial, which you shouldn't, make sure you drill an air intake hole right up here. You'll see why later. Now I'm deadly afraid of cutting my fingers, so I cut this completely useless notch in the top so that I could crimp the sides down, which I could do without the notch anyways. And this carried the added benefit that the lid somehow stayed on perfectly, so much so that I could tip it upside down. That actually worked really well. Then I drilled an air hole on the top for pressure release and repacked down the Cowwool. And due to the ugly outside, sorry Heineken, I'm 13 years old and even I know your beer sucks, I gave it a nice outer coating. And just like that, the forge was complete. All that was left to do was to prep our crucible, and here you can see a magnet sticks to it, so I know that it's steel. And the reason this is important is because steel won't melt in our forge. And my final act before testing was one of torture. You see, pennies are a great tiny source of copper. At least they were if they were made before 1996. 1982 for American pennies. Because after 1996, they completely flipped the composition of zinc and copper. Zinc fumes are deadly, by the way, which means if you had a single penny from post-1996 in a pile of 100 old pennies, it would multiply the fumes by 4 times. I'm not angry. This just took me an hour of my life. Thank you for listening. Hi, welcome to my backyard. So now that I'm done counting pennies and my forge is finished, pan the camera down. Just kidding, I don't have a cameraman. I have exactly 1 tomato soup can of pennies, which is actually a lot. And I haven't even fired this thing up yet. So the first thing I'm gonna do, and quite frankly, if you are using this as a tutorial, why are you doing that? You gotta make sure to fire this thing up first to make sure it's working before you actually try and melt anything. Now I'm sure you're wondering what the end goal is here, and I'll tell you. I made this tiny mold for a sword, and I'd like to cast it out of copper. Okay, back to the forge. It's giving off some heat. And if I touch the sides, yeah, man, I mean, it's getting hot, which means it's time for the penny test. Now, everything was going fine, at least I thought, until some weird things started to happen around my forge. As I dropped in the can of pennies, the coating started to burn off, but I ignored the warning signs and kept going. The flame went out, and I almost blew up the forge.
Holy fuck.
No issue, I thought to myself. I kept going. The flame picked up. A dark, slow orange, but still unpunished. I kept going. And then, my propane tank lit on fire! Wait! Okay, I know this looks really bad. And it is actually really bad. The propane tank caught on fire. So I did a little bit of research, and as it turns out, basically I just needed a better air to fuel ratio. I had way too much fuel coming out and not enough air. So I drilled a little hole for more airflow, and we were right back at it. Okay, now you can watch me panic. As you can see, the pennies got really hot. Ooh. But not hot enough. So I gave it one more attempt with my current tools, and it went just as poorly as I thought it would. Now, as a reminder, this is how it's supposed to look. But we're not there yet, so just hold your horses. Anyways, to be fair, I can't even count the number of times I messed up on one hand. So this was to be expected. And yes, I did light the tank on fire again. And whilst I may have been down, I certainly wasn't out. So I started by buying a new torch head and creating a plan of attack. Guys, I swear I'm not insane.
But I feel kind of fucking insane.
Pathetically,
I can't melt copper. So we're gonna do two different things. First, I've got this air blower that should actually force air into the area. And then second, I'm moving down to aluminum cans. Because if I can't do aluminum cans, then I obviously can't do copper. But I have a lot of faith, actually. I do actually have faith. Because I searched it up, and this random Redditor told me it would work. So it's gonna work, right? Right? I could tell I was getting closer. Now, despite the fact that I had to run to get more batteries like every 5 minutes,
It's getting smoky!
the flame never once went out, and it stayed blue the whole time. Things were going well. Okay, things were almost going well. Except the forge wasn't getting hot enough. Hot enough to burn my fingers, yes, but not hot enough to melt the aluminum.
I'm killing myself!
Even with direct flame, it wasn't in a liquid state.
Oh. Okay. Alright, okay.
And believe me, the penny did not go much better.
Fucking, I can't melt a penny. Whoa, chill the fuck out, dog.
It was time to bring out the big guns. I'm tired of this baby flame! I should probably go check on that. Long story short, I've got a bigger flame, I have a crucible, I've got a weird crucible tipping mechanism, but that's not very important. What's important is that we finally melt this aluminum, and I have no doubts that it will work this time.
What the fuck?
The aluminum was an easy task with this insane flame. In just under 10 minutes, it started getting crispy and started folding under my coat hanger. But weirdly, it wasn't melting, which I later learned is because the thin aluminum cans react with oxygen, creating aluminum oxide, the flakiness on top. But after giving it a stir, under all of that flakiness, I saw a glimmer.
Oh shit. Yeah! Let's go!
Quenching? Okay, I mean, it's kind of satisfying, I guess. Wow, look at that sword, guys. I mean, it melted at least. All right, now obviously it's not perfect, and I think the culprit is the impurities on the aluminum can, so I really want to try again with the copper pennies. I turned on the burner and replaced the lid. 5 minutes later, not melted. 10 minutes later, still not melted. 15 minutes later, getting better. The copper is quite dark now. 20 minutes later, a disgusting yellow shows up. This is from the formation of zinc oxide, which turns yellow at around 400 degrees Celsius, and means I missed a coin when counting. Frick. 25 minutes later, finally, the crucible is red hot, and the yellow color of the zinc oxide fades from the glow of the pennies. We're reaching the end game. Finally, after about 35 minutes, it melted. I was very excited.
Let's go! Oh my god, that's so
Frickin'.
hot. Oh!
Flip.
Oh! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Why is it? Oh my god! Look at that green! I wonder if I can touch it.
Okay, that took me forever, but it is finally done, and I have purposefully not looked at my sword until now so that we could experience it together. I am so excited to see what...
Okay, for comedic effect, I had to show this clip after that. But look how cool it looks. The metal pours so easily into the mold. I don't even know if I can show this on YouTube. Probably not.
Damn, bro, you're rock hard. Literally.
And then the quench afterwards was also super satisfying.
Oh, nice sizzle.
Mom, do you like it?
I'm not exaggerating when I say that this was probably the hardest project I've ever done. It took me so many steps, it took me so long, but thank you guys for sticking through it, and I will see you for the next video.